That's
That's creative, is what that is.
Yeah.
So Dennis, I just flew in today
From
London.
London, that's right. Hello.
Hello.
Did you
Hello
have some
from London.
brisket? A brisket, a pretzel?
Pretzel. I didn't go through
Pretzel.
Germany.
No. Well, that's... Yeah. Whatever. Move on.
No, I went.
London, tell me about it. You have anecdotes, I'll bet.
Well,
And of course,
was-
I'll have questions about the food you ate in detail.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was summoned to the office for Monday and Tuesday.
Summoned suddenly, so this was unplanned?
It was like less than 10 days of warning. And so the only reasonable flight was on Sunday morning. The flight was at 7 a.m. So I had to get to the airport by 6 a.m. And the airport is an hour away, so I had to leave by 5 a.m. So I got up at 4:30 a.m.
Because you were ready to go.
And so it was 4:30 a.m. Spain time, which is 3:30 a.m. British time. And so my
So by
2
the
hour...
time you got there, you hadn't even left yet.
Almost. The 2 hour flight, the hour and 50 minute flight left at 7 a.m. and arrived at 7:50. So I was already like into the city and not checked in, but like I left my luggage at my hotel by like 9 a.m. and check-in was at 3 p.m. So
Jeez.
I had, 6 hours to goof around, and it was.
It is what it is when that happens, you know. I mean, you make the most.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful sunny day in a cool European city, and I love
So
walking
you
around
could leave the
cities.
airport and walk out for 6 hours.
Well, I left the airport, made it all the way to my hotel.
Oh, I see.
Dropped off my bags at the concierge or
Oh,
whatever.
so that was the 6 hours.
Yeah, from when I dropped
Gotcha.
off my stuff at the hotel, I had 6
Gotcha.
hours before I had to come back to actually get my room, and it was, and so I asked, ChatGPT, what's something to, I'm here, I've got a bunch of time today on this Sunday, March
Where do I go?
18th or whatever.
Tell me a
Tell me a place to go that isn't like the normal tourist, like obvious things. Like I've done those. And I said, I don't know, make it have something to do with science. And it was like, well, there's this museum of this scientist that invented something. I forget what the museum was. And so I looked I asked for directions, and it said, oh, that's like 2 kilometers in this direction. And it was, that walk like took me through the Soho neighborhood that I had experienced last time with Jacob, which was lovely. So I said, all right, I'm going to walk over there. But then like if something caught my eye, I left the route that the GPS was taking me on, and I just wandered around, and it was so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
I saw a thing over there. I was like, I wonder what that is. And
Yeah.
I went in, and this is a cool looking church. Let's go inside or whatever. Actually, I went into one, and this nice lady said, service is starting in 45 minutes. I was like, oh yeah, it's Sunday morning. I didn't stay for the church service, but I looked around like, cool church,
Yeah,
lady.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
cool guy.
So it was just a lot of fun. I would like set waypoints of a thing I wanted to go see, and then I asked what's the best restaurant in Soho, and it said, well, here's a list, and from super pricey to whatever, and of course the super pricey ones were all booked.
Yeah.
But I went to one of the restaurants was that I didn't end up going to was in the building where Karl Marx lived for the last 5 years of his life. He had
Cool.
his final bit of life was in London. Like his grave is in London. I learned.
Yeah. Well, that's.
And I was like, there's like a plaque on the wall that says, Karl Marx lived here from this time to this time. And so I had and then I was walking somewhere else, and the police were blocking off the streets. And I was like, that's weird. And finally I went up to a Bobby who was standing there looking around, making sure things were in order. And I said, what's going on here? He was like, we're preparing for the St. Patrick's Day parade. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so I Googled, information about the London St. Patrick's Day parade 2025, and
Sure enough,
it explained that this is the route from here to, or the route, as they would say,
the route
from here to starts at
here to fucking eternity.
Hyde Park Corner and ends up in Trafalgar Square, and it starts at noon. And there was some speculation. There were some news articles that
Trouble coming.
that Kate Middleton might make an appearance.
Boy, wouldn't that be special?
She,
Did you see her?
like her first one after recovering from cancer last year.
Yeah. I do follow that feed in her. I find her very majestic. In fact.
Yes, that's a good word. That's why they say Your Majesty.
Feel that way about any others of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I've never liked Charles. I just found him to be a arrogant, pompous
prick.
Spoon in his mouth, one up his ass.
Yeah.
Although, and then this bullshit with Camilla, or is it Camille? The queen,
Kamala.
the queen, not the queen consort, was what she started. And
I think
then
she's officially queen now.
they dropped the consort, and actually, that breaks tradition for the first time ever.
Yeah, traditions are made to be broken. I don't know.
Well,
Sure.
I mean, not that I care. I find it all very sordid.
Right.
I mean, the fact that he was cheating on, beloved Diana with this old haggard bitch is just beyond me, And she, of course, caught the flame of the world with her. I've watched at least once the documentary about her life, which is incredibly moving and shocking to me, of the circumstances she was in, and then how she reacted to them in some ways very strategically, very brilliantly, to put herself in the press as a certain way. And there's this part of her journey where it's clear that she no longer is in the relationship, and she puts on this fabulous black dress, and she makes sure that she has plenty of pictures because she looks incredibly sexy, alive, and available.
Right.
And she did it exactly for that reason.
Wow.
Which, strategically, to win over the press.
Yeah.
In a situation that could go awry. Not that I know much more about it all than that, but I just
see.
It's
if you
cool
had
that you were there, though. Did you see Kate Middleton? You didn't. See
no.
You went to the parade, though.
I checked the news later, and there was no sign that she actually, like, it was just like a hunch that
That's
it might
too
happen.
bad that leaked out.
And also, parades are, how you could, like, do, like, Secret Service level of protection for a parade is kind of, like, I don't know that, I think she probably needs more security than to, like, be on a float, waving, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's.
So it was cool because for like an hour and a half before the parade started, there were these huge important cities, streets in London, like Piccadilly Circus and things like this, that were devoid of cars.
Oh, because all
And
blocked off for the same.
all the cars were blocked off.
And so, given the troubles between Ireland and Great Britain, isn't this I don't know, troublesome in some ways, or
I mean, it's yeah.
You would think that the Irish would object. Yeah, just on principle, and maybe throw in a couple of bombs or two, but
well, wasn't that?
How dare you?
Wasn't that Northern Ireland that was the terrorist? I don't know. I forget. I don't really know that history.
Well, at any rate,
but what the Irish do love is a good reason to party. So.
Yeah.
Let's just say the Guinness was flowing pretty early on.
Yeah, Guinness is pretty light alcohol content. It's less than 5. I was always surprised by that.
I mean,
and it is
so you can have more.
Tasty and frothy. I'll tell you the negative side of this idea that St. Paddy's Day and partying is that we played a gig for that bar that closed here in Kalamazoo, Rutgers Up and Under, and the day after was the Sunday before, or the Saturday before St. Paddy's Day, which of course is a big celebration of St. Paddy's Day and all the restaurants and all blah 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 blah.
Well, St. Paddy's Day was Monday technically.
Monday, but this was the Saturday celebration of, and our band played. More on that later, but our band played, and after I packed up at 1 in the morning, I got there at 4 p.m. after working all week to get it set, and got there, and we played, had a great time, blah, blah, blah. TV camera came, took some shots. We had a good photographer there. It's a lot of stuff going on. Had a lot of fun, laughed out loud, laughed the whole time, had a good time.
Nice.
And it comes to be packing up. I pack up. We end at 11:15, 11:20. I got to take care of the money, pay this, pay that. I got to pack everything up. It gets to be 1 o'clock. I got to have another beer. I've been drinking shit beer because the room I'm in has its own bar. It's a music room, a venue.
Okay.
It's a club. Then you go through doors and you go to the main part of the bar where there's a whole nother bar where there was just full house, shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
And I said, look, one more beer before I go. And the woman who served, the wait staff who served me, was the woman who actually let me in the building at 4 o'clock. She knew who I was, how long I had worked, and she was tending the bar terribly. The one half of the bar where I wasn't was a very efficient woman who just hit it like up and down, up and down, up and down. The woman I'm at, she's down at the end of the bar. Every time she serves somebody, they walk away, somebody else comes in. She asks them what they want. So those of us at the top of the bar, it's 6 minutes. It's like I'm leaning forward. There's other people with me. And but I do see, as she's opening the doors to serve everyone but me, much to my delight, I see Harp's Lager in there.
Nice.
And I've been drinking this, some fucking Heineken or some such shit. Just because it's good Pilsner, but not what I want.
Right.
And she came to me and I said, I want a Harp's Lager. She pulls it out of the case. She comes over, give her my credit card, and she says, I'll be right back. And I said, why? I mean, why? I mean, there's my beer. I can't drink it. I can't see it. I'm thirsty now. I'm dying of thirst for a nice Harp's red, deep amber. And no, and she's gone. She comes back and she says, you know, those are blocked. I just can't sell those right now. I can't sell those. What? And I said, you can't sell those. I said, what do you mean you can't sell those?
Of course you can sell those.
They're right there. And she said, I'm not in charge of this and I can't or I'll get in trouble. And I said to her, when she put it back, I said, oh, then I'll take a can of Schmittix. The big, tall Schmittix were in there, yep. Bundles of them. I have a Schmittix. Presses in the computer and says, I can't sell that either. And I said, you're telling me that at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're setting this aside for people tomorrow and you're not going to sell me one of these beers? And I could have said,
closing.
Wait right here. I'm friends with the owner. He's standing over there. That's what I should have done. And come over with Andrew and say, come here, Andrew, help me. The owner, who we're doing a benefit for his rugby club, which, you know, is a whole other story that you'll find fascinating in your neck of the world. And I ended up buying another shit beer, like a fucking Heineken or something. And I just thought of the lack of independent thinking of someone who would know that as the front person for a band that's been there since 4 o'clock, played for nothing all night long for drinks on a bar tab, which was gone because it was $100. It was paid off. I got to $97. That's good.
Yep.
I hate leaving money on the table. Anyway, I just shook my head and thought, what part of the service world did you not understand as you entered it? What part of the service world? There's only one thing you need to know: make the customer feel good. That's it. A customer feels good, buys stuff. That's it. You have to sell the place. Everything has got to be. Oh, you know the adage: the customer's always right. Listen.
Yeah, but how many times has she been yelled at by Andrew or a middle person?
Not by Andrew ever, and that doesn't apply because how many times has there been somebody there in my situation with her? Never. This is a once-in-a-career decision of ease, which because of her total lack of total acceptance of submission, and that she could not make the decision, any seasoned bartender would said, you know, just pay me in cash, and I'll take care of it later. Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for everything you did. So we raised about between $600 and $800 for the club. We did a 50-50 raffle where sold tickets and raffled off Kazoo Dog merch and some other shit that they had off the walls and stuff. And then
what is Kazoo Dog? Is that a
the Kalamazoo Rugby Club are called the Dogs.
Okay.
Kalamazoo Dogs. And so this is what I had predicted because it's quite common that when the 50-50 owner, who understands it's a charity for the staff, or we're all laid off, wins the prize, he takes the mic and says, I'm going to give it all to the charity. I've never seen it ever happen any other way. And I've been to a dozen charity events. This guy grabs the money and runs it up. I'm like, dude, and a millennial, which might matter, frankly. But anyway, $160 to the staff, and I had done a full court press with the press, no pun intended, which included the first article that came out that announced the place was closing. I called the reporter and I said, look, I know these owners now. I'm getting to know them. Let's do an interview at the place, and you can, lay out what the Mojo Riot's organizing here, because we hosted it more than I've managed all of it. Sure. Reservations, the publicity, blah 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 blah. Hired a sound man, hired a light man, tech man, etc.
Nice.
And bam, bam, bam. Press comes. There's article comes out on Wednesday. and somebody on the radio picks it up. So a friend of a friend is, I don't know how anybody is this quick with a phone, where it comes on the radio announcing about the Mojo Riot. He puts on his camera with the sound recording, of course,
Right.
and records kind of a close-up of his car radio blaring
Wow.
the announcement of featuring Mojo Riot and and it sounds like
How
the
cool is
fun
that?
and, you know, reservations, you know, this and that. And so that was the kind of juice that started flowing. And then so that happened Wednesday before the Friday. And anyway, we put all the shit together. We had every table reserved.
Wow.
Every table in the place, 23 tables, and then another 40 seats. And early on, the other side of the bar was crowded and stayed crowded. In fact, there was a couple of people, very, you know, leadership-wise, owners, co-owners, and club executive committee had all reserved tables in the front. But as turns out, they really wanted to stand up and tell stories and you know, come in sometimes and in and out rather than sit. They weren't
Right.
about to sit down and watch it like it was a show. That's not the way they roll.
Right.
So we played to the back half of the room, which still was, you know, 60 people, plenty, and had a time of our life for the
Cool.
first time we had lights. So you'll
Hey.
see in the pictures and even in the news story. So back to the news, as I had called the television station and Googled them to see that they too had kind of picked up on the story of this bar after 30 years closing. And I wrote them a quick note that said, as you know, blah, 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 30 years it's been the watering hole of the rugby club, and so we're doing this benefit. You know about it. Come on down with a live camera and catch part of the show, you know. And sure enough, they showed up.
Live
And
camera? You
somebody
were
came
live
to
on
get me
television?
off stage. I was just post sound check and went in, and sure enough, there's a dude in a tripod, and he's got the camera. Introduced myself. He said, "Oh yeah, you're the guy." I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're in the other room. We're about to start at 8:10 sharp," and it was about 8 o'clock. And I had postponed the opening for 10 minutes because I wanted more people to move from the bar side
Right.
to the other side. But there were no amount of prompting would get them to move. And you couldn't hear our music from that side. They had their own
Yeah.
sound system. And so it ended up to be a learning experience on that note. But nonetheless, nice crowd, people having fun. And this dude comes over with his TV camera as we're playing. And he's taking shots, and then he gets off that, and he's taking all sorts of pictures, of which I'm going to get. And then he's got somebody a woman doing the on-site announcement with
Right.
people in the background.
Yep.
And it's just exciting as hell for us, you know.
Cool.
And then we just played the shit out of it. And we're getting tighter. You know, our
One would hope.
artistic director, my son-in-law Justin, is so gifted and quite demanding about nothing short of quality. And I think I've used Van Zant's quote about Bruce Springsteen, that he had a ridiculously high expectation of quality, you know, and that's how I feel about what Justin J-Dog has done, and he does it in a way which is effective. It isn't without its its difficulty, but you know, fixing stuff takes energy. You know?
Yeah, and knowing what to fix and who to
Yes.
tell.
Well,
to
and he's
change
got
what.
this unbelievable ability to understand every lick of every instrument.
That's crazy.
When Jimmy misses a snare chop on his drums, Justin will talk about it at practice.
Damn.
You know, I mean, there's every bit of it, and there's a couple songs. There's one tune I do, Steamroller, James Taylor live
Yep.
version, which is
Yep.
always worth downloading, and it's 7 minutes.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that song.
And so there's a part in the what we do to copy that to extent is he comes to a part where it's a cappella, and he's just kind of moaning the blues about, you know, the steamroller blues, and gets into a kind of a funny, you know, get down, low down,
Yeah.
chicken choking, mollyfogging, bloking. And,
Yeah.
and what he said was mother, father. That's what he said.
Really?
But his intended.
Yeah.
It didn't sound that way. But there's this part when that happens, the band, just before I do it, the band stops. Oh, and you got to do your little diva thing. Well,
Yeah.
the band didn't stop again.
Uh-oh.
And as we've made the same mistake, I'm not sure exactly who's done it. It's certainly not my job to figure that out. That's what we have an artistic director for. But what's great about it, and my point is it didn't matter. I sang the verse along with the music that was ending, and they end up picking up on it, and we got through it, and there wasn't anybody in that place who thought that we had made a mistake.
No, that's the thing. When you're performing, you notice all your mistakes, but the audience doesn't notice. They don't know that you had been planning on doing one thing, you did another, or you changed a lyric or whatever.
Yeah.
That's great to have a coach, for lack of a better word, that can see those mistakes. Like one of the on Tuesdays we go to a dancing class, and
Yeah.
the teacher has this ability to watch like a bunch of people dancing and then be able to pick out, hey, you there, on that one thing you did it wrong, your hand was supposed to be higher or lower or something. And the same thing blows my mind with like golf coaches that can watch you swing and then
Tell you.
see 20 different things that you did wrong, but then give you the swing thought that is going to start to correct that.
Yeah, these you know, people that are skilled in an innate way,
Right.
a DNA level ability, savants, perhaps. Although in the case of J-Dog, he's excellent at so many things. He's truly a Renaissance man, and that's always, you know, impressed me. The challenge, of course, is in order to get better, you've really got to be clear and point out what's wrong. And there's always a potential to overreach that, you know. And it's
Telling someone that they've fucked up in a way that doesn't make them resent you is a challenge.
Well, yeah, it's because it's interesting in a band because that is the expectation. So that there is a critique, and so what's left in the challenge of any critique, this kind of critique is not a challenge just from the aspect of, gosh, it's difficult to be critical. No. It's not difficult to be critical when you're in a situation that is called, with a cap, a critique. What then it's left with is nothing but the way that it's communicated.
Well, yeah, you can be a jerk about it, or you can be, constructive.
Well, and
about it.
he's seldom a jerk about stuff.
Well, and also
There are a few examples.
part of the onus is on the person receiving the critique to not.
Yeah, well, in
handle it
fact, I would
with
say
maturity.
99.9% of it, because,
Right.
and this is what I've tried to develop as an improvement in my work here, which is
Yeah.
challenging for me. I'm in a new thing. This is an old dog learning a new trick.
Right.
I'm as much an alpha male as any alpha male, and I am not an alpha position here.
Right.
I am expected to be a student, and I am, and I'm learning to understand from people who have skill sets that, in my view, go way beyond what I can do, and I would say that to them, and Jimmy, you know, the drummer, who's a drummer and a guitar player and can play the piano and and sings and does background vocals. He's so talented, and he says to me very kindly, he says, "Don't sell yourself short, bro. What you do is very good."
Yeah.
And that's
And
nice to hear. It's
and that's good leadership. Like,
well, and that's from Jimmy's not the leader of the band. He is. I mean, there's only one leader. He's an artistic director, and Justin is J-Dog, and it's so good that we're all good with it.
right.
And if you want to push back, go ahead, poke the bear, or do what I do, just say, I'll work on it,
Yep.
and move on, because that's all that's expected, nothing else. No attitude's expected. It's one thing, the quality of the song. It's the quality of the song. Nothing else matters. And sorry if blah blah blah, but that's what this is about. Are you on board? All in.
Yep.
Work through it, whatever. And I call it it's my vulnerabilities, my ego, my vulnerabilities. And for years I'm a pickup musician. All my life, for 30-some years. I show up at a bar, they're playing blues, I got a couple of harmonicas, They ask me up, I'm stoned, I'm drinking, I play, I just jam, it's just a jam, somebody else is singing. If I want to sing one, I usually can't because they don't know it.
You're not a studio musician that is like doing take after take after take to get it right.
Oh, and so I'm going to work now at practices.
Right.
And when I play, I am very careful. I have my wits about me. I drink a cup of coffee before I go out and play.
Wow.
And I'll have a beer sitting there, but it's the only beer I'll have till the third set, if I don't spill it, which I did the other night. But I have a new mic that I'm a new microphone add-on tech piece that's cool. It's a button I push, and it's on a little pedal. And on the pedal there are probably 12 or 14 controls that are related to my harmonica, which is a state-of-the-art harp that has its own volume knob on it, but has gradations which are not very succinct, since it's a knob that moves. And so the pedal is adjusted to the sound, so far the sound Justin wants when I'm on solo. And before I go solo, I press it. It does, among other things, right now the only thing it does is change the volume.
Sure.
But I want to explore
like
those other knobs, because there's a harmonica sound I want that I currently don't have, although I'm ill-equipped to know what it sounds like in the audience, because we're plugged in with our own sound system in our ears. So I don't get to hear what it sounds like to the people, although I'm told by J-Dog that what's in my ears, and he's the sound master as well.
Right.
All this computer shit.
I mean, you can never know what it sounds like out there.
He knows what it sounds like out there, and he says that's what you're listening to.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm listening to, and I matched you to me, where every other band member has their own, it downloaded on their own phone, so they can choose their own mix. Huh. And I haven't done that. He's just done it for me as a matter of being nice. And also me saying, how are you tuned? And he said, I'm tuned so I hear what they hear. And I said, well, good, then tune me that way too. I don't need to, although frankly, since I'm playing the harp and singing, I'd rather hear more bass. I don't want to hear the lead guitar quite as loud. And I would make some adjustments, but which will come in time.
I've always wondered how much, if musicians on stage have their own mix where they, to hear everyone else and probably themselves a little more, but also but at some point you need to adjust the volume that you're playing at. Like, if you're adjusted too high, or if say you're adjusted too low, and it sounds to you like you need to make more noise, and you're singing or whatever. It seems like you might try and sing louder or something. I don't know.
Well, and so case in point.
Because at some point you need to be able to understand.
Number one, in this particular show, we had a sound man. He sat in the middle of the room with a soundboard.
Right.
He had control of all the sound levels that the crowd heard.
Sure.
When he was happy, we were happy. But that's a strange occurrence for us. We do our own sound for most of the shows. And the way that we do it is that we record so that anyone in the room can't hear what we're doing, because it's all in our ears. There's no speakers on. We're playing a song completely in our ears. They could hear
right.
some of the guitar strings slapping, but
yep.
they wouldn't hear the music coming out of them. And we go through a medley of about 4 or 5 songs that have every person playing and singing. And we go through the beginnings of them. Justin leads them. And of course, Justin has but
if you've got drums...
electric drums.
Electric.
They're all electric. Everything's electric. And you can hear
your harp.
The soft...
acoustic.
You can hear the harp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's actually in the room, but not as well as we're hearing in our ears. So when we record that, everybody takes a break, and Justin takes his computer, and he goes out where the soundboard is.
Oh.
And he adjusts it so that it sounds like the house. Sounds good in the house.
He plays it back with the speakers
and it's
on.
out loud. I mean, the whole room is and people will come in the room. It's like it's just after the doors open. It's 7,
right.
And they would wonder,
where's the band?
Where's the band? They're obviously somebody's playing live,
right?
And he gets adjusted. And what he does is he adjusts it for him and for me, which is this is the way it sounds in the room. And then he goes back, and then the guys come back up, and he says, it's ready for you to adjust for yourself. And they all say, I'm already adjusted.
Right.
I'm adjusted from the last time we played. I want more, I don't know if Blake
whatever
would say. But the other great thing that happened, beside the music and working through a couple of mistakes, and I got to tell you a funny story before I forget it. So, Justin's lead guitar player, and our closing tune, which I'll send you, is Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Nice.
Rethought by Slash in a recent blues album that he released.
Okay.
And there is always a challenge in these tunes when there's a long jam, is to know when the jam is over and when I'm to speak. And sometimes facial signals don't work. And even though J-Dog has a mic button he can press so that the only people who hear what he's saying in the mic are the band, sometimes when he's jamming and he's moving around a little bit, instead of going to the mic, he just mouths it, so I can read his lips. Because I'm watching him. Because I got to sing or play the harp or whatever. And
the intra band body language has always fascinated me.
Yeah, and
how a jam band can end on the right note or measure or whatever.
People are paying attention.
Yeah.
And so, and this is a song that on occasion, live and certainly in practice, I've come in too early. And now I don't anymore because we practiced it at whatever. And one of the things we did, as we do in many tunes, is that the particular guitar lick that he plays, that he doesn't play any other time, and it's always 100% of the time the introduction of me singing.
Right.
And it's a great guitar lick, and Papa Was a Rolling Stone. It goes bwah 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 bwah, and then I sing. So this particular event, and here we are, and we got a nice crowd. We got lights for the first time. There's blue, there's red. The dude brought a fucking fog machine. We got the fog going on, and we're playing our last. tune, you know, and he's just having the time of his life. The gig's almost over. Thank God. We're all relieved. We've been drinking heavily the past 2 songs. And he's doing a solo where it's the last 2 verses that come in. And then after that, we jam out forever.
Right.
And so this is the 3rd time that he's bringing me in to sing some verses. And he's far from the mic, and we catch eyes, and he looks at me and he mouths the words and he says, "Wait for it." And he plays a while, and he's extending it because we're at the end of the night. We got nothing behind us. We're playing to the back of the room. We're pleased, and he's jamming typically more than what he otherwise would do. It's just lovely stuff, just so fucking good, very soulful. And he goes up to the mic, and he doesn't turn it on, but he looks at me. He says, "Wait for it."
Yeah.
And he goes back, and he plays and he plays and he plays. And by this time, the other band members who can all see him and are looking at him are starting to laugh because they know how much he's fucking with me.
Right.
And so he's doing it and just playing so wonderfully. And then he looks at me and he raises his eyebrows up and down and he says, "You ready?" So now I'm laughing out loud, and
Right.
you know, and just he's so funny. And then he does it, and we fucking kill it. And it's after those verses, which came out very, very well, I think. The band jams out for 32 bars. I mean, it's just a jam. And he plays. He and Jason, the other guitar player, they play a back and forth question and answer, each playing different things in absolute harmony with each other. And the drummer killing it, the bass player killing it. It's pretty good.
Is there a recording of this?
Yes. I sent you one recording this evening. I'll send you this other one tomorrow.
Okay. Nice.
In fact, it'll be Papa.
Nice. So, when I was in London, I was looking around for what can I do? Where can I go? And I wanted to go. I've always wanted to go to where, historically, it's called the Royal Society where all these scientists would get together and talk about the most cutting edge science of the day, including Isaac Newton gave a bunch of talks at this place, and all the top physicists that were discovering things would come here and debate and stuff. And so I looked that up, and so I walked on over there. I could have taken the underground to the various places, but it was just such a lovely day.
So nice to just, the ambient, it's a lot
it's the stuff between places that is nice to observe when you're above ground. So anyway, I got to the spot, and the building is no longer there. But what is in its place is it's the same little alleyway that was there that these super important famous people clearly walk down, and they have where the building used to be. There's one. I love these little hidden things that you can find in cities that have historical meaning. There's this one. There's this one street lamp that has this wrought iron thing that looks like electrons going around an atom. That is there to so subtly commemorate that this is where all this crazy science shit happened. And so that was kind of cool.
And so how the history of London begins when? I mean,
it was Roman. There was a Roman. It was
Roman times.
It's pre-Roman.
Well, did Rome take over? Did they go across the channel and?
Yes, they made it all the way up to, like, the border between England and Scotland is, like, as far as Rome got, basically.
And so Scotland remained fiercely independent until England took her over?
Yeah, basically. But, yeah, so London's been in that location, which is, like, as high up the river you can go from the sea in a big boat, is like how that it was decided to put London there. That's the reason. Like the Thames River in London, supposedly, like has effects with the tides. Like it goes up and down because it's so well connected to the sea. So that was kind of cool to see that. And then right around the corner, I saw this pub that I remember from like my very first time I visited London, like 20 years ago, on one of those like tour buses that takes you around, and somebody's in with a bad microphone is telling you all these different. And to your left, you can see this. And there's this pub called Ye Olde Cheshire Cat.
I've heard of this.
And
I've heard of this.
It is. They've got a sign out front that said it was rebuilt in 1662.
Oh, my word.
And it has been there just like it is now, except they've added electricity and running water, for that entire time.
3,000 years.
No, not 3,000.
300.
Oh,
What?
350 since they built it.
From the time they had dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I knew it.
No, that's
Those
not
cavemen. You know what made them cavemen?
That's million.
They loved to drink. That's why they got their name. Their wives called them men before. They just didn't know what to call them. And then when they saw them drinking around the campfire, they said, "You're acting like a bunch of fucking cavemen." And it stuck.
Yes, exactly.
You don't know
Well,
these things.
That's why they were all.
A lot.
That's why they were all named like Clug and Grug.
Glug. That's
Yes.
the first name.
Yeah.
Glug. And
But-
the other was Fish.
So this.
When they opened the can of beer, the old
Right.
the cans of beer were made out of rock, flint.
Yeah. The rock can. Yeah. But one person that used to hang out here is Charles Dickens. Used to go there, and all these like important writers throughout history would go there and just hang out and talk about writing and shit. And so I went into this place and ordered a beer and sat down and just sort of, it's so dark and like it's the original wooden beams that they've run like electrical wires on to, and like the tables felt like they were a couple hundred years old too. It was just cool to be and commune with in a place that has had so many people, but so many like important people have.
Well, and the stories. I mean, there's something about it being in a place like there's places down in New Orleans that are similar to that.
Yeah.
And without exceptions, the ones I love the most are gritty, and
haven't been like renovated.
No,
to
not
be
to the
shiny
point
and
of
new.
like flagstone being put up, to separate the tables from the bar, for example,
Right.
Or stainless steel or whatever. Just keep the worn out fucking wood, man. I mean,
Exactly.
it's let it sag, baby. But there's something about being there where it's sort of like a map maker who is in the bar with you and then pulls out her computer and says, "Let me show you what we look like," and uses satellite camera to go further and further and further until she shows the Earth.
Right.
And you
Yep.
realize that your speck there as part of the Earth and then expanded into the time continuum creates a sense of euphoria, because the here and now of it is that you don't matter worth a shit.
Yep.
So just sit back and enjoy what's happening in front of you, because at the end of the day, that's all there is.
Yep.
Everything else that's going on, that is going on in your head, and none of it all washes away for just a moment.
Now is all there is.
Because you realize what a fucking worthless, helpless speck you are.
Right,
In the great
exactly.
scheme.
And the meaning of life is just what you choose to make of it. Like,
Every moment at a time. There's a scene, and I saw The Enclave, which is incredible. Ralph Fiennes plays the head cleric, the cardinal, and there's this line that the hero in the series says, that is, the church is not tradition and what it was. The church is what it's going to do next. And it just is that kind of let it all go moment, when you realize, as I do only on occasion, that the only thing that matters right now is right in front of you. It happens when I fly fish.
right.
I'm tying flies. I'm stuck in a tree. I'm floating. I'm waiting. I don't want to fall. There's fish here. I've got to try to get at them. It's not working. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah.
You can't be worried about your mechanic's appointment or your mortgage payment.
If my phone buzzes, it's likely because I sent a picture.
Right.
In the case I fished 2 rivers, including one I would certainly remember to send you a picture of the Muskegon River, which is getting a run of fresh steelhead from the river. It's an enormous river. It's enormous. And I got a cool picture of some guys fishing it. I'll send it to you. But I fished both rivers and never caught a fish. It's only the second time in like years and years that I've ever walked away skunked.
Wow.
And I went to a bar, and they said, "Well, how'd you do today?" Because I go in there every week, the same bar. I eat food, and they get to know me a little bit. "How'd you do today?" And I said, "I caught a skunk." And the barmaid the bartender looked at me and said, "You caught a skunk?" And I said, "Yeah, I got skunked." And this guy next to me, bearded dude having a beer, he laughs out loud. He says, "Well, that's too bad. Where'd you go?" And I told him, and he says, "Oh, you got to try the Whites River, blah, blah, blah." And before the story's over with, this guy has told me that he fishes all over the world. He goes to British Columbia once a year, every year for 15 years. He fishes nearby. He's got a guy he knows in Montana. He's wearing a Montana hat. The guy who's got the hat from is one of his friends who runs a lodge on the fucking the river in Vermont. I think it's a Big Mo, and so there's story after story of just. And he says to me at the end, he says, "So I'm getting ready to leave." He says, "So you fish alone?" And I said, "Yeah, pretty much." And I just waited and was hopeful for 1 second. He said, "Give me a call."
Yeah.
But it didn't. It wasn't forthcoming, and I think his thought was, "I don't know this guy from Adam.
Yeah.
I don't want to be any busier. He comes up here once a week. Well, he could show me something one time, and then I wouldn't need to see him anymore."
Right. So, as I was wandering around London, there in like the theater district, there's. On the side of the theater, there's like what's showing here, and you've got your typical Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that, but and I had sort of like asked the internet, like, "Hey, are there any shows playing today?" Because I've got a bunch of free time to kill, and it turns out on Sunday there are pretty much no shows. But one of the theaters I walked by, and I thought, "Oh, I need to tell Dennis about this." There's one play that's on at the moment. It's like 4 days a week, starring Brian Cox.
Oh, no kidding.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh my God. Oh. Oh. And this is sold out for like forever.
I don't know if it's sold. You could probably get tickets within a week, and well, I don't know anything about how it's sold out. But
so Succession's not coming back, correct?
I don't think so.
What? He died.
His character died. Yeah. That was the big part of it. Yeah.
I know. Brian Coxon died, but thank you. You're ever vigilant on how much.
It's not real, Dennis. They're acting.
How much help I may need. Well, I'll tell you, man. I did at some point. I got to talk to you about a little CJ stuff. Some things may be happening, and I've kind of got.
That reminds me. Your quote from that movie of the church is what it's going to do next, not what it's done.
Yeah.
That is like, yes, that's being in the moment and not fretting about the past, but also like if you've done some really bad shit, that's a convenient thing to say.
Well, and I don't mind that because I think that in one sense, everything that is about to occur is
you don't have control over what's
in a fresh
happened.
Space.
Right.
It's a fresh opportunity.
Fresh canvas that you're
painting. Yes, and in order to be your best self, you really need to let go of elements of your worst self. And you also have to believe that if that's good for you, it's good for the world. And if meaning the world means every other human being and everything that's ever been done. And if every moment is a fresh universe of expanding and ephemeral happening, because it comes, it goes, it's gone. If that's the essence of it, then yes. Give it all up. Yeah,
but sometimes that almost makes it sound like you don't ever need to apologize, which is not true. It's interesting, like that. Like obviously, I don't love the retributive, aspect of criminal justice, but. Yeah, we've talked all about that, but it's a interesting philosophy to.
I gotta go.
To go. Well,
I gotta go.
Whatever you do next is who you are.
Day after day, I'm more confused. I know. Well, I just sang that, but it's the opportunity presents itself. But I look for the light in the pouring rain. This is a game that I hate to lose. Ain't it a shame? I got a claim, oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. Wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I'm beginning to think I'm wasting time.
Well, I hope you didn't think that was a waste of your time. That's the end of episode number 245. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/245. There's a couple of links to like the St. Patrick's Festival brochure and the old pub that I went to. And you can help support the show at patreon.com/happyhour, where we would really appreciate that. See you next week.